We've got a beef cattle property where we breed cattle and then take them through. Some of them we take right through to fattening, and others we provide as backgrounders to the feedlot industry. And it's a family-run business. We've got 3 generations working in the business, and my husband's family have been in this district all his life, and another generation before that. Our internet's based on 3G from Telstra, and sometimes we get 4G. And what we've done to actually access that is invest a couple of $1,000s in towers. So we've got an aerial of our own that's quite high above the house, and then we've got an aerial inside the house that actually then extends the coverage within the house so that we can get mobile phone access as well, which means that we can use plans on our mobile devices and iPads and things. And we've gone through a reasonably complicated process to lift our at the number of gigs a month we get. So the average gigs that most people can get offered is 15 to 25. And by working on plans and buying additional SIM cards, we've got about 60 gigs a month, but that costs us about $180 a month. And then after that, if we go over that, it's $10 per gig. So we've worked quite hard to get more than the 25 gigs, because the reality is that 25 gigs is just not enough for a farm business, let alone a family or wanting to do any education. And the challenges around getting that extra 25 gigs is the cost, and finding someone within Telstra who was able to help us and understand that this was actually really important. So for quite a while we just exceeded and were being charged casual rates and had real difficulty in bundling it. We can't go to another provider, we can't shop around, we have one option where we live at the moment. When we have the children come home on weekends or on school holidays for boarding school, they're wanting to look up things. It's not possible to do uni lectures on that sort of data and coverage. The speed isn't enough. You might be able to download the papers, but streaming things is quite difficult. So if you wanted to catch up on iView, as we're often encouraged to do on the ABC, it's just not straightforward to do that. So wanting to download a podcast, listen to music, those sorts of things that I think we sort of take for granted, and is what's marketed to us these days. The speeds do fluctuate, so very early in the morning is great. There are peak times though when we just can't get anything to load, and it's not always predictable. And we just have to work with that. We accept that that's part of what we have to deal with. We can't rely that the internet will always load, or that we'll always be able to watch the story that's shared. So we're using some telemetry, which means we've got a camera above a cattle trough. And what that does is send us an email in the morning to show us if there's any, what the level is in the trough, and that lets us know if there are any cattle waiting for water, or if there's a leak in the pipe, or that there's no water there. And we have that on 2 troughs at the moment, and we get a slight signal, and so we can do that. We'd love to do more of that. And in disaster times, it'd be great to be able to monitor some fences and things like that. But they're not options when you don't have mobile coverage. The thing with mobile connectivity is that there's so many opportunities. It's where our social connections often are. It's how we stay in touch with the rest of the world. And we love that opportunity to read today's paper today, to listen to podcasts, to actually stay in touch with people, as well as to do our research. So, in terms of looking for tractor or motorbike parts, looking at where they're available, actually researching how to do something, how to fix something without needing to drive 100 kilometres to get to a mechanic, that you can work out how to do it yourself. So there's the whole range of things that I think we do all want to access and we take for granted now. During the floods, when we lost our landline phones and the local exchange went out and we didn't have mobile coverage, that's when people realised that through social media we could actually stay in touch with each other, and we could find out what was going on during a disaster. And it really showed us that things like social media in rural communities can connect for good. We think it's a fantastic lifestyle, and we also love to raise our family, but we're also running a really productive business that's contributing to the Australian economy. It's producing amazing tasting beef, which we sell to Australia and the world. And I think the other side of that is that although we choose to live here, internet access has actually been declared as a basic human right by the United Nations. And access to the internet that's at a speed that means that you can do business really, I think, should be a right to all Australians.